Hello and welcome to the 20th video in this beginner series program a tile puzzle game on the iPad using Cocos 2D. So we're going to play in, this is sort of the second part continuing on from the last one. We've now got our player wins detection here, and we've started our logic here and the drag is finished. I've removed the comment that was in here. Now we're going to play our winning face, so our one game detection. And to do that we need a sprite. So in here we're just going to declare a sprite and call this sprite win face. And then inside gameplay layer, down in the initialize function, we're going to, in exactly the same way we initialize the easy button and hard button, etc., we're going to initialize in that way the winning face as well. So I'm just going to take this code that I've already prepared here and paste this in, because we've seen it all before, it's nothing new. Just as with the background layer, we get the size, we get the correct frame for our sprite, which is the win face, depending on whether we've got HD mode or not. And we set the position here at minus width and height, so we're positioning it way off the screen so it won't be shown. And it's at a Z index of 2, which means it sits over everything else because everything else has been put on at a Z index of 1. So that's our sprite initialized. And now what we need to do is we need to have our one game function that executes when we've detected that the user has won a game. So in drag is finished here, somewhere in here we want something to happen when we've detected that the player has won, and this is obviously showing the smiley face. So we'll call this void and one game. And the first thing to do here is get our size again, and I'll paste this in, we've seen it before, from the director, and now position our smiley face right in the middle of the screen. And now we're going to do some actions. We'd like this smiley face to fade in, sit on the screen for a few seconds, and fade out again. And you remember we did actions here in execute tile drag. We had our move action, and then our call drag done action, which calls then drag is finished, and you could sequence and run these actions together. This is exactly what we're going to do here. So we're going to create 3 actions: a fade in action using CC fade in to last 1.5 seconds, a delay action, and a fade out. And what the delay does is when you have your action sequence, if we put the fade in and fade out directly one after the other, we would fade in and instantly fade out. A delay action simply pauses your sequence of actions for the specified time, and we'll say 3 seconds, and then we fade out over 1 second. And the last thing we need to be able to do is, once we fade it out, then we need to be able to call, and I've called it call reset functions, but essentially we're going to make a function that's called new game, because we need to say we're no longer in a game, is animating needs to be set back to no, and we need to position the smiley face way off the screen again so it can't be seen. And all that remains at the end of this function, of course, then, is to run these actions in sequence. So let's now implement this function called new game, which is called at the end of the fade in fade out with this action call reset functions here. And this very simple function just resets our animating variable to no, says we're no longer in a game, and positions win face right off the screen. And that's all the logic we actually need to show our winning face on the screen. The only other thing to do now is actually call the one game function inside drag is finished here, which will then show our smiley face. And remember, the whole time is animating stays then yes, so we don't receive any touches or anything. So I'll now just run this in the simulator, and it's starting up. And whilst it's starting up, I've just remembered one little change I've made as well in preparation for this. Just so we can win a game, I've changed the easy mode to randomize 3 moves instead of 50, so that I can definitely solve the puzzle. So back to the simulator. The moment we're not in a game, so here you can see it's not doing anything because we haven't actually started a game. So let's press easy, and now it's mixed up the board easily for us. And now let's rearrange the board into a 1 position, and now you see we get the smiley face playing and then the smiley face disappears. And now if we reset like this, we don't get a smiley face because we're no longer inside a game. We have to either press easy or hard, and then we get the smiley face. And this time I'm going to try and move things and press things whilst the smiley face is running. And you can see here that easy, hard, reset don't work, and sliding doesn't work. So good, that's our end of game logic up and working. The last thing we need to do now is put in some sounds, and the application in this series is finished. So thanks very much for watching. Comments, questions, criticisms welcome as always on YouTube.